Hi, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. It's been a while. Yeah, I know. But it is what it is. I was sick for 3 weeks, then I went on this long trip to Scotland, and then we had this huge oil spill here in Hiiumaa. Just a lot of things happening, and I have realized during this time that I can't be making videos on schedule because that kind of kills it for me. It puts some kind of stress on that I don't want. And I finally need to make peace with it and say I'm going to make videos when I have something to talk about and I'm inspired, and not put a deadline for myself. So don't expect videos every Sunday. It's just going to be, there's going to be videos when there's going to be videos, whatever life brings. I don't want the stress to be thinking that I have to make a video. So it is what it is, but I'm here now, so let's take advantage of that. And I just want to talk about the trip that I had to Scotland. It was one of the coolest experiences, and I was feeling and going through a lot of things, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful country. So I want to share some footage from the trip. Warning, I had my DSLR with me, but it was raining so badly that I couldn't even take it out on most days. So the footage that I have is mostly filmed with my camera, or some of it is filmed by other people with their GoPros or stuff like that. So the footage, the quality is not that good, but I think it's the emotion that matters, and it carries the feeling that we had on the trip, and that's what I want to share with you. I went to Scotland to hike in the mountains with 10 women, only women. So cool. And I was the official photographer, so it was kind of like a work trip for me, but it's such a gorgeous place that obviously I was enjoying it as much as I was doing work there. And because it was raining, you know, we were all kind of just trying to survive, actually, more than enjoying ourselves. So what happened was we just took our backpacks, everything we need to for the week, put it in our backpacks, and just go on our own to the mountains, and go not on some kind of roads, but go off the track. Oh, the sun. I don't want to put my camera on auto mode, so it was fine until the sun came out of the clouds and I'm overexposed, I guess. But I just don't like the result that I get when it's on the auto, because it keeps flickering, and it's just not good. But I am filming myself, so it's kind of hard to get the light right. But there's a big cloud coming, so I think we're good. We went off track. That was the whole point. We're not going to follow some kind of road. We're going to go on our own, do the mountains, off-road, off track, and that's awesome, because you know that means we're going to places where nobody is probably, and we're just on our own, and yeah, trying to survive the Scottish mountains. And the first day we get there, it's beautiful. The sun is out, we can walk on our t-shirts. It's so warm, it's so nice, and we set up our campsite on this valley that is surrounded by these huge mountains. Such a pretty sight. And then we put our tents up, and we go and climb on top of one of the mountains, because our backpacks were really heavy and we didn't want to go up the mountain with them. Such a beautiful evening. We really enjoyed it. Everybody was so excited to, by the way, none of us knew each other. So it's 10 women who don't know each other. I only knew the the leader of the group, and that's it. And everybody else is strangers. And it's so cool when you just go with the random group and get to know each other, and kind of bond with the strangers, and just be, I don't know, it's always such a special feeling when it's only women, and they are, I don't know, it's such a supporting environment. Or I just really love the idea, first of all, that we're all only women, and we are going to the mountains to survive on our own, and show that we can do it on ourselves, and we don't need anybody to take care of us, you know, go woman, independent. It was our first hiking experience for a lot of us. Even for me, I've only been hiking one time before, and not in the mountains, and not for a week. So everything was good. Perfect night. And then it's started. The weather forecast did not promise us any good for the week, and at night it started to rain, and it was quite windy. Even though we were at the bottom of the valley, it was really windy and it started to rain. We wake up, it's raining, so we have to pack our tents together in rain, and if you don't have experience, it's hard to pack your things in rain without them getting wet, you know. And so we start to hike that next day, and that was the most brutal day. It was so intense. It started to rain so hard, and we had to go past this one mountain range, and it's super windy, and as we're getting higher, the wind keeps increasing because we are it's like between two mountains, and obviously there's a wind corridor. And when we got on top of the range, it is so windy and it's raining so bad that the wind is pushing the rain horizontally into your face and into your clothes so strongly. It literally hurt our faces so bad. So it's like kind of slippery rocks, and we're using the hiking sticks, but you didn't care about the hiking stick. You just want to cover your face, because it feels like somebody is like throwing knives at you or something. And literally we had hiked for half an hour maybe. We were soaking wet, so cold, and we knew we can't stop because we have to get going to get away from the brutal wind. So we keep walking. I think that day we walked for 2 hours, and that was it. We were all exhausted and we were all soaking wet, and even our leaders, who had like this really good hiking gear, raincoats and stuff, everybody got wet. Nothing was working, and we were like, okay, we need to find shelter from the wind or we're not gonna make it. So we go, and another thing that was kind of intense was that there was so much rain coming down from the mountains that all the streams got so big, and the water was flowing so fast, and so it was really hard to cross the streams. But anyways, we find this place to camp. That was literally the most epic moment of the trip. So everybody is cold, freezing, wet, shocked from the conditions that we were in, and we go to this mountainside where there is no wind, so we find shelter from the wind, and we realize we can't keep going on, and it's raining, it's still pouring rain, and our leaders tell us, okay, we need to make our campsite here, so put up your tents and go inside the tents, take out the wet clothes and put the dry ones on. And one of the girls really explained it really good, how she was literally like walking on that place and seeing how water was like just soaking through the ground. Literally, it was like a puddle, and she was looking down and she was like, where are we gonna put our tents, in the puddles? Like it was such extreme situation for all of us, and we were just like shocked. But we did manage to put our tents up and go inside, and that was 12 o'clock. We were there by 12 o'clock, and it literally rained the whole day, the whole night. So we couldn't get out of our tents because we only had one set of dry clothes and we didn't want to get them wet. And some people, they had their tents leaking, so the water was coming inside. It was just a miserable situation, and really extreme. And we were like, what are we gonna do for the whole week, you know, if that is the first day? So yeah, Scottish mountains, they looked so gorgeous. They were like beautiful, but they just tried to kill us. That's how we felt in the first day, and we had no idea how we were gonna go on from that. And the next day in the morning, it was still raining. It actually stopped raining for half an hour. So I just took my camera, ran outside, took as much pictures as I can in half an hour, and then it started to rain again and had to run back to the tent. But the funny thing was that, or not funny, but I really enjoyed that morning because it was so cloudy, and I really love the moment when the clouds come down to the mountains or even cover you. I think it's such a beautiful scenery when the clouds are at the mountains, and we were literally inside the clouds at times, and it's such a beautiful experience for me. So I was really enjoying the scenery, even though I was you know, a little bit cold, and I was waiting for it to rain, and it did start to rain, so I had to run back. But that morning was I really enjoyed that morning, and I think I got the best video and picture from that. But then, yeah, we realized we can't go on. We just can't, because all of our equipment is wet, and with this brutal wind and non-stop rain, we're just gonna get too cold, you know. So what we did, we hiked back to the big road, took a taxi, went to a campground where the sun, again, 1 second. So yeah, we had to go back to the campground and throw all of our clothes to the dryer, and we also stopped on a hiking gear shop, and we bought us some better raincoats and better rain gear, and after that we were better equipped, and the weather got a little bit better. I mean, it was still raining every single day, but it wasn't pouring the way it was pouring on the first day, and it wasn't we didn't go to places that were so windy. But anyways, I'm not going to tell you everything that we did. You would be bored, and you would have had to be there to understand what we went through. But some of the things that I really enjoyed, first of all, it was a great challenge for me as a photographer to try and take photos with my phone, because I just literally couldn't take out my camera for 5 days, because it was raining all the time, and I had this I came up with this system that I had a little pocket, and I had a Ziploc bag with some toilet paper in it, and I had my phone. I literally took a piece of toilet paper from the Ziploc, dried the lens of the phone camera, took pictures for like 5 seconds, and then the rain got the lens again, and it was too wet again. But that was literally how I worked. But I never liked to take photos with my camera, with my phone, but that was the only thing I had, and they always say the best camera you have is the one that you have. So, you know, that didn't sound good. The best camera is the one that you have, so use whatever you have. And that's all I had to work with, and it was really interesting to try and get like good angles and good pictures in such harsh conditions. And I must say, as uncomfortable we were, the scenery was beautiful, because the clouds make everything so dramatic. And Scotland, I really loved the minimalism of Scotland. So, you know, you have all these mountains that are just bare, like there is nothing on the mountains, and then there is just this one huge rock, or there's this one tree, or there is a sheep, just some sheep just in the middle of nowhere eating grass, you know, and this minimalism was so cool, and I really enjoyed it, and there was so many good pictures to take, you know, but I kind of was more occupied with surviving. But I tried to make the best of it and take some photos, and I'm not mad at myself, but I'm disappointed. No, I'm just thinking back. The first day when it was the most extreme, I didn't take almost any photos when we were hiking. And that was a mistake, because that was the moment where I was like, you need to take photos now, because this is going to be epic, and we're going to remember this, you know, from the trip. And so there was this another time at the end of the trip when we climbed up top Gobbler, which is one of the really famous mountains, and it was the same story up there. Brutal winds, you can hardly even walk. I'm not kidding, like you have to like focus on walking so that the wind just doesn't push you away. And it's raining, obviously, super windy, you know, you have to keep moving so you wouldn't get cold and freeze. And that's when I was in that moment. I was like, okay, yes, this is as bad as it gets, and this is when I need to take photos, you know, because it's good, you know, and we're gonna remember this. So I really enjoyed the photography challenge, and I really enjoyed the minimalism. It just spoke to me on so many levels, and it gave you such freedom, you know, you can look to the mountains and as far as you can see it's, you know, kind of nothing, but then some kind of really dramatic clouds or the scenery was just epic, you know. What else did I enjoy? I enjoyed bonding with the women and seeing how they grew. We all kind of had to grow to a little tougher versions of ourselves to survive this experience, and it was really cool to see people pushing their comfort zone and pushing their limits, you know, that they are doing things that they couldn't believe a week ago that they would do, you know. And the funny thing was how our standards about the weather got so low. So one day it was like super rainy, but it wasn't windy and it was kind of warm, and we were like, oh, the weather is really nice today, and we just all started to laugh. We were like, we would never have said it a week ago that this is a nice weather, you know, but our standard just, you know, the first day and the brutal winds just put everything into perspective, you know. If you're not freezing to death, it's good. The weather is okay. The last thing that it was like a personal journey that I went through. At one point we had a choice of either we're gonna go over the mountains, stay up or between the mountains in the valley, go over 2 mountain ranges and go back, or we're gonna take the safe road through the valley and go to a campground and then hike some day trips without our backpacks. And I really wanted to go through the mountains, you know. It was extreme, obviously, and it was out of our comfort zones. But I really, you know, that's what I wanted. I wanted to experience the wilderness and show myself that I can survive in that and just really be outside of civilizations. That's what I really was going through, that I want to go somewhere where there's nobody and I don't want to see anybody from outside for a week. That's what I was thinking in my head before we went there. And once we had to make this decision, either we're going to go through over the mountains or go through the safe road in the valley, our leaders made the choice to go through the valley because they weren't comfortable with going over the mountains because, you know, our equipment was maybe not there and there was a lot of risks associated with going over the mountains because there was nobody to help us there. And our equipment was maybe not that good, and it was gonna be brutally windy, and you never know how the streams are gonna go, if they're gonna overflow and make it impossible to pass the streams. Long story short, we went back through the valley, and I was really disappointed, but I agreed with the decision. I realized that it is the normal thing to do, or rational thing to do, you know. And we have to take into consideration the whole group, not just what one individual wants to do. And so we went back the safe way, and it was fine. And we did the day hike, and it was actually really good. So, you know, we still got a good experience out of it. But I, for myself, realized that I'm not the type of person who wants to go through the safe valley, you know. I really love pushing myself out of the comfort zone, and perhaps I realized that I've been living in my comfort zone for too long, and I maybe need to make my life more interesting and take on more challenges that scare me, you know, because I have been kind of playing it safe lately and just, you know, not putting myself out there. And in the mountains, I realized that I want to do that. Yeah. So that was my personal, what I got out of there personally. It was a great trip, and I really enjoyed it. I really recommend you to go there if you're crazy. I mean, the weather is usually not that bad. We just got really unlucky, you know. It's not possible it's going to literally rain 5 days in a row, you know. But it did happen to us, and but looking back, you forget you were cold and wet and uncomfortable. You know, these things you forget, but you will remember the cool experience you had, and take this video, and that's what I have now. Okay, this video is getting way too long. I'm sorry, but I just want to share one more thing. that happened. It was in the last day we were hiking up to the Gobbler. By the way, we never saw the Gobbler. Of course, we were just, for the last hike, we were like, okay, we didn't go through the mountains that we wanted, but we are at least gonna go hike up to the Gobbler and it's gonna be beautiful. We got there, we never took the last end of the trail up to the Gobbler because it was so cloudy that we couldn't see anything from there and it wasn't gonna be any better, so we would have just been inside of the cloud the whole time and not see anything. And since the wind was so brutal, it was raining so hard, we were all, you know, kind of cold. We decided not to go and we wouldn't have seen anything anyways. But when we were going up there, it was really brutal, and you can tell that it's always like this. It's always super windy, you know, and it's really harsh environment to be in. We were walking and I saw those little white flowers growing there. And it really shocked me because literally even the sheep didn't want to go there. And the sheep are crazy. They go anywhere. They don't care if it's raining, pouring or super windy. They're just eating grass like it's nothing everywhere on the mountains. But there was no sheep there because I think even the sheep didn't want to live there. And those beautiful, gentle, white flowers were just growing there like it was nothing. And I was just like, it was such a cool moment for me. I just love those little details in the nature that you see and you're like, wow, like respect to those flowers. And that's the beauty of nature, you know, and the complexity and the adaptations that the plants have. And for me, it was such a cool sight to see those little white flowers, just making it so beautiful there. But yeah, enough of talking. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed my travel memories. If you have been to Scotland and you have cool stories to share, I would love to hear more about this country. It's such a beautiful, beautiful, harsh environment, harsh but beautiful. I also have some pictures. If you want to see from Scotland, you can go on my social media from Instagram or Facebook. I share some photos, or you can check out vivekairebanen.com where I sell my nature prints. I'm gonna put some pictures from Scotland up there too, so you can buy my photos, digital downloads, or canvases or prints all over the world. Worldwide delivery from the website. You can also buy me a coffee if you want. I have buy me a coffee page if you want to just support the channel and you know, make my day. And other than that, beautiful spring in Hiiumaa. I'm back on my island and this is my favorite time of the year. Everything is so beautiful. The weather is bad. My bees can't collect honey from dandelion. That's making me mad. But not really. I just want them to survive and have a good life. Now it is not my main goal to produce as much honey as possible, but to enjoy beekeeping as a hobby and to provide my bees with a good life. And I think what better place to have a good life for a bee than this beautiful island that I live in. I just shared some footage of this. We had this kind of really bad thing happen to Hiiumaa. We had some mazout. It's like a thick oil product that was coming to the shores in Hiiumaa. I was just sharing some things on my social media in Estonian, so I'm sure a lot of you were confused. But I just needed to ask people to come and help us to clean it up, because it was literally 50 kilometers of our beaches just polluted with the mazout, and it was really bad. We gathered, I think this was on 2 of the islands in Estonia, and then on some little islets as well. And we gathered over 5 tons of mazout, so it was kind of big pollution. And really this mazout was really sticky. And right now, you know, all the birds are having babies, and we were super worried about the babies. If they step on it, it's over for them, or if their feathers get covered with the mazout, you know, they can't keep warm anymore, and it was just a bad environmental hazard. And so I've been going to the beach to clean it up for we went for four nights with my sister, and we were joking, it's like our new hobby to collect it. But it was really bad because it washed offshore, but then on the shore, but then the water level rose and it got under the water, and it was really hard to get it out. I think we had this big cleanup action this weekend, and I think we did get most of it out, but there is still some on the beaches. So, you know, still some work to do. But I think the most terrible part is over. Thank God, because, you know, my heart was breaking a little bit, but I think it's under control now, and we'll go again and try to get the rest of it, but I think it's okay now. But we still don't know where it's coming from, so it's probably leaking from some shipwreck that is in the sea. There is a lot of ships that went down during the World War II or the Soviet times, and they are like leaking time bombs, you know, because all of them have some bad stuff in them that is not being cleaned up, and it's super expensive to empty those ships from the oil and stuff, and for some reason our government hasn't done it. So it might happen anytime soon again. It's like, you never know. But yeah, this time I think it's under control, but it can happen very soon again. So I hope this will be a lesson to our government and show how dangerous it is, and maybe they will go and take care of those shipwrecks and make sure that they can't leak in the future. Okay, now I'm really gonna go and leave you. Thank you so much for listening to me rumbling. Is that a word? Rumbling. I'll see you in the next one, wherever this is gonna be. I'm sure that the sun comes out and the spring and the summer gives me more motivation and inspiration to film more, because I really love doing that, and I did miss you while I was gone. And yeah, I hope all is good. Let me know who is here. I love to hear your comments. You know that already. And I'll see you in the next one.